I never thought I'd be the guy standing here typing out my own heartbreak story, but here we are. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife Lisa for about 5 years now. We got married last month, and honestly I thought I knew her pretty well. She's got that kind of attitude where she's sharp-tongued, pretty bitchy at times, but she's also confident, ambitious, and I'll admit, pretty damn attractive. She's the kind of woman who always made me feel like I was lucky to have her. The first signs that something was off started a few weeks before the wedding. Lisa had been acting strange, more defensive, secretive. She'd hide her phone when I walked into the room, and if I asked who she was texting, she'd brush me off with some sarcastic remark. I didn't want to believe it, but I could see her lying about stuff that didn't really matter, or so I thought at the time. Still, I told myself I was just overthinking. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but I thought we were solid until the wedding reception. It was supposed to be a celebration, you know. All our friends, family, good food, drinks, dancing. I was feeling pretty good, thinking this was the start of something great. But what I didn't realize was that I was walking into a nightmare dressed as a dream. Lisa was acting a little too interested in her boss, Greg, that night. He's this smooth, confident guy who's always been a bit of a player, but I never thought he'd go after my wife. She was laughing a little too hard at his jokes, leaning in closer than necessary, touching his arm when she thought no one was looking. I noticed, but I convinced myself she was just being friendly. She's always been a bit flirtatious, or so I thought. I had no reason to suspect she'd actually cheat on me, not at this stage. Then came the thing I'll never forget. As the night wore on, I caught her sneaking away from the main hall, heading towards the hotel where the wedding party was staying. I followed her, more out of curiosity than suspicion, at first. I figured maybe she was just seeking some quiet time, but what I saw when I got there hit me like a punch in the gut. She was in the hotel room with Greg. And they weren't just talking. They were kissing, deep and passionate, like they couldn't get enough of each other. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw her pressing her body against him, her hands in his hair. I froze there in the hallway, just staring at that scene. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I couldn't believe it. She was supposed to be my wife, the woman I'd trusted, the woman I'd married with all my hopes and dreams. How could I have been so blind? How did I miss all the signs? She'd been so bitchy, so dismissive sometimes, and I just chalked it up to her personality. But now I could see that she was capable of lying, of betraying me in the worst possible way. I stepped back quietly, trying not to make a sound. My head was spinning, full of shock, anger, and a deep, sinking sadness. I thought about going in there, confronting her right then and there, but I knew I needed a plan. I needed to process this. I stood there in the dark hallway, feeling completely lost, realizing that my whole world was crumbling around me. I kept thinking, how could she do this? How could she look me in the eye and lie so effortlessly? And why the hell did I think she loved me? After that night, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her pressed against Greg, her face lit with that fake, bitchy smile she always wears when she's trying to act like she's the smartest person in the room. The betrayal was like a punch to the stomach, and honestly, I felt stupid for not seeing it sooner. How did I miss all the signs? She's always been the type to lie her way out of trouble, to spin stories that make her look innocent but hide 100 lies underneath. That's her game, always has been. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache, still trying to piece everything together. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but deep down, I knew I had to confront her. I waited until she got home from her work meeting, which I knew was bullshit. She was probably out with Greg, celebrating something or just screwing around. When she walked in, I was already sitting on the couch, my arms crossed, trying to keep my composure. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk like she knew she could get away with anything. "Hey babe," she said, acting like everything was normal. "What's up?" I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "Lisa, I saw you last night. I saw you with Greg. Don't even bother lying. I saw what I saw." Her eyes widened for a second, then she quickly recovered and started to lie. "Oh, come on, Mike, you're seeing things. Maybe you misunderstood. Greg and I are just friends, you know that." I shook my head, feeling the anger boil inside me. "No, Lisa, I saw you kissing him. I saw your hotel key card in your purse. You've been lying to my face all along, haven't you?" She scoffed, crossing her arms. Look, I don't know what you're talking about. You're just overreacting. Greg's a good guy and I was just talking to him. You're being paranoid. That's when my blood started to boil. I couldn't take it anymore. Paranoid. No, Lisa, I'm not paranoid. I'm hurt. I'm angry and I'm done pretending I don't know the truth. You've been cheating on me right under my nose and I don't know how I missed it, but I will not stand for this. She rolled her eyes, trying to dismiss me. You're overreacting. This is just a stupid misunderstanding. You're so insecure. In that moment, I realized that she wasn't going to admit anything. She was a liar, a manipulator, the kind of woman who would lie to your face and then turn it around on you. I felt a mix of heartbreak and rage. How could she be so callous? How could she betray me like this after everything we'd been through? I wanted to scream, to shake her, but I knew that wouldn't help. I needed a plan. That's when I started to think about what to do next. I knew I had to get proof, evidence of her deceit, something concrete that I could hold over her head if I ever decided to confront her again. I remembered seeing her purse that night. I had slipped into her room when she wasn't looking, just to see if I could find anything that would tell me the truth. And there in her bag I found what I was looking for, 2 hotel key cards, one with her name and the other with her boss. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was confirmation that she'd been sneaking around behind my back. That moment, holding those cards in my hand, was a turning point. I felt humiliated, angry, betrayed, and completely lost. How could I have been so blind? How could she lie so effortlessly? I knew then that I had to decide whether I would fight for this marriage or cut my losses. But deep down, I already knew the answer. The trust was gone, shattered into a million pieces. What was left was just the wreckage of a relationship built on lies. The days that followed were a blur. I couldn't focus on anything except the image of her with Greg, that kiss, that hotel key card. Every time I tried to talk to her, she'd brush me off with that same bitchy attitude, acting like I was crazy for even questioning her. She kept lying, saying it was all a misunderstanding, that I was paranoid, that she loved me and would never do anything to hurt me. But I knew better now. I saw it with my own eyes and there was no pretending anymore. I decided I couldn't stay in that house, not after what I knew. I packed a bag and left for my best friend's place, trying to clear my head. All I kept thinking about was how blind I'd been, how I let her walk all over me. I felt so stupid for trusting someone who clearly had no respect for me or our marriage. My mind was racing with all the questions. How long has this been going on? Did she ever actually love me? Or was I just some placeholder until she found someone better? The feeling of betrayal was so overwhelming that I started to wonder if I'd ever be able to trust anyone again. During those quiet, lonely nights, I kept replaying everything, from her dismissive attitude during arguments to the way she'd suddenly become all clingy and apologetic when I found the evidence. I kept asking myself if I had missed the signs, if I had been so caught up in trying to make things work that I ignored all the warning bells ringing in my head. Honestly, I felt like a fool. How could I not see it? How could I be so blind to her true nature? The worst part was how she tried to manipulate me in her own bitchy way. Whenever I called her out, she'd turn on the tears, act helpless, and accuse me of being insecure or jealous. She'd say things like, "You're overthinking, Mike. I've never done anything to hurt you. Maybe you're the one with the problem." It was classic Lisa, blame shifting, quick to deny, and always making herself the victim. I wanted to punch her in the face, but I held back. I knew I had to stay calm, at least for now. I needed to think about what I was going to do next. One night, I went through her phone trying to find any other proof, any clues that might tell me how deep this went. And sure enough, I found a string of messages between her and Greg, flirty remarks, plans to meet up again, even a few naked selfies. That was the final nail in the coffin. Her words made it clear she didn't care about me anymore. She was just using me as a backup, a convenient piece of property to keep around while she screwed Greg behind my back. That's when I realized I couldn't stay in this relationship anymore. It was over. Whatever hope I had of fixing things had been destroyed by her lies and her selfishness. I knew I had to get out, cut her loose, and start healing. But the pain was still fresh, and honestly, part of me wondered if I'd ever feel normal again. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut so many times I couldn't breathe, and I was trying to hold back tears even in the dead of night. How could she do this? How could I have been so blind? The trust I once had in her was gone, replaced by a quiet, burning anger. I didn't think I'd ever forget what I saw or the way she looked at him like he was the only thing that mattered to her. That betrayal was etched into my mind. After a few days of really thinking everything through, I knew what I had to do. I couldn't keep pretending that this was just some mistake or misunderstanding, because it was. She had been lying to my face for months, maybe longer. I was done. I called a lawyer, set up a meeting for the next day, and started planning how to handle everything financially and emotionally. I was angry, hurt, and honestly, I felt free in a way I hadn't in years. No more lies, no more pretending she cared. The confrontation with Lisa was inevitable. I knew I couldn't just walk away without saying what I felt. So I invited her over to talk, just us, no one else. When she arrived, she threw that same bitchy smirk at me like she thought she could manipulate her way out of it again. I didn't waste any time. "Lisa, I saw you with Greg," I said, my voice cold, steady. "I found your hotel key cards, your messages, everything. I know you've been lying to my face." She rolled her eyes, trying to act like I was the crazy one. "Mike, you're overreacting. You don't know what you saw. Maybe you're just jealous." "Jealous?" I cut her off. "No, I'm hurt. I trusted you. I loved you. And you've been screwing around behind my back like I was nothing. Do you even care how much you've hurt me?" Her face twisted into that familiar smirk, then she started to lie again, twisting the story like she always did. "Mike, you don't understand. Greg and I, yeah, we've been seeing each other, but it's not what you think. It's complicated. He's been going through a rough patch. It's just sex, that's all. We're not exclusive. You're making it into something worse than it is." I felt my stomach turn at her words. That just sex excuse was so typical. She always had a way of making herself look like the victim, even when she was the one cheating. I could see right through her bullshit. "You think I'm stupid? That I'll believe some excuse you made up on the spot? You lied to me for months, Lisa. How am I supposed to believe anything you say now?" She started crying, fake tears that didn't reach her eyes. "Mike, I never loved Greg. I only did it because I was unhappy. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Please, I love you. Don't throw everything away over a stupid mistake." Her voice was crocodile tears, trying to pull at my heart. But I was already past the point of feeling sorry for her. I looked at her and saw her for what she truly was: selfish, manipulative, and willing to ruin everything for her own pleasure. That moment was a turning point. I told her to leave, that I couldn't do this anymore, that she had broken whatever little trust we had left. When she left that night, I felt a strange mix of relief and anger. Relief because I finally saw her for who she was, and anger because I let her mess with my head for so long. I knew I was officially done with her. The woman I married, the woman I loved, she was gone. All that was left was the cold realization that I'd been blind and I'd been played for a fool. It hurt worse than anything else I'd ever felt, but deep down I knew I'd be okay. I had to be. In the days that followed, I immersed myself in sorting out the aftermath. I contacted the lawyer to start the divorce proceedings. It was a strange feeling, like I was finally taking control of my life again, but at the same time, the pain was still fresh. Every time I thought about Lisa, I'd get this sick feeling in my stomach. I kept replaying the betrayal in my head, wondering how I hadn't seen it coming, why I had been so blind to her manipulative ways. My friends were surprisingly supportive, but I could tell they were just as shocked as I was. They knew Lisa as well as I did, and none of them could believe she'd do something so ruthless. One of my buddies even called her a bitchy, selfish snake, which made me laugh because it was true. That's exactly what she was. She always liked to act like she was the smartest person in the room, but she was just a master at lying and twisting reality to her advantage. I started to realize how much I'd been holding on to her, how much I'd been trying to make things work even when I had no real proof she cared. I was angry at myself for ignoring all the warning signs, for believing her bullshit when deep down I knew she was only out for herself. But I was also angry at her, how she could betray me so coldly, tear apart everything we'd built, just for some fleeting sex with her boss. That realization made me feel a little stronger each day. I also started to get rid of things that reminded me of her. I threw out her clothes, her jewelry, even some of the photos from our wedding. It felt like I was purging a part of my past, trying to make space for a future without her. It wasn't easy. Sometimes I'd catch myself thinking about calling her, just to ask what the hell she was thinking. But I knew that was pointless now. She had burned that bridge. I had to learn to live without the woman I loved, or at least what I thought was love. The biggest shock, though, was how quickly I started to feel better. I won't lie, it was brutal at first. The heartbreak hit me hard and I felt like I was drowning. But over time, I realized that I deserved more than someone who would lie, cheat, and manipulate me. I was better off alone than in a relationship built on lies. I started focusing on myself, my work, my hobbies, anything to keep my mind busy. I wasn't ready to date or anything like that yet. I just needed time to heal. One thing that struck me in all this was how much I'd underestimated her. Lisa always played the victim, said I was insecure or jealous, but the truth was, she was the one who couldn't keep her own lies straight. I've been so caught up in trying to fix things and make her happy that I ignored my own instincts. Now I see clearly. Trust is everything, and once that's broken, it's nearly impossible to repair. I've learned that the hard way. The lesson: never ignore the red flags, no matter how much you love someone. Because when they betray you like that, it changes everything. Looking back now, I realize that this whole experience has changed me forever. I used to believe in happily ever after, in that fairy tale version of love where everything is perfect and honest. But real life is messier, and sometimes, the people you trust the most turn out to be the biggest liars. I've learned that trusting someone blindly only makes you vulnerable, and that betrayal cuts deeper than I ever imagined. The process of healing isn't easy. It's painful, it's messy, and there are days when I still wake up feeling that hollow ache in my chest, but I also feel stronger. I've come to understand that I don't need someone who lies and cheats to be happy. I deserve respect, honesty, and loyalty. And if someone isn't willing to give that, then they don't belong in my life. This whole ordeal has taught me a lot about myself. I've learned to listen to my gut more, to see the warning signs I used to ignore. I've also learned that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. It's not weakness, it's self-respect. I'll never forget what Lisa did, but I refuse to let it define me. Instead, I choose to focus on rebuilding myself, stronger, wiser, and more cautious about who I trust. To anyone out there going through something similar, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs, no matter how much you love or want to believe in someone. Because once that trust is broken, it's almost impossible to get back. But you can survive, and one day, you'll look back and realize how much stronger you've become because of it. I don't regret the love I gave her, even if it was wasted. Because now, I know what real loyalty looks like, and I won't settle for anything less. My future is uncertain, but I'm finally ready to face it alone, yes, but also free. Free from betrayal, from lies, from someone who never really cared. And that's a lesson I'll carry with me for the rest of my life.